Hey guys, welcome to another video in the Frsky series, and today's topic is variable rate and variable expo. So the traditional way, of course, is to have a 2 or 3 position switch. You have a low rate, you have a high rate, maybe a mid rate. But if you wanted to, here's my elevator, and I have a rate. So I'm in flight, I'm doing my maiden, realize that's not enough rate. I can sit there and adjust this, a slider or one of the knobs, and adjust your rate that way. So now I have more rate, now I have less rate. Obviously, I don't think that this is something that you'd want once you've fine-tuned your plane, you've done your maiden, got everything adjusted. But what's nice about this is you can set it up, and then once you're done, you can transfer and put it back to a normal way. Now, this method obviously will work on anything that is an ethos radio, so the XE, which is what this is, the X18, the X20, or anything else that runs the ethos operating system. So, by the way, even if you're not interested in doing this particular thing, this does go through a couple of things that people don't really know or don't really understand about this radio, or a couple of different programming methods. So even if you're not interested in this, it might be worth a watch if you want to understand your radio better. So here we go. The way that I did this is the way that you set up your rates normally. So I have a 3-position switch here, and I have a low rate, a medium rate, and a high rate. And what I did was instead of having it set just to a medium rate, I have the medium rate position switch set to my slider. So there's my low rate, my high rate's at the bottom, in the middle I've got it on a slider. So let's see how I did that. It's actually very simple. Go to my elevator, edit it, and here's my weights and rates right down here. Okay, so I have one that's 100%. That is the one that's not assigned to a switch position. So in other words, when these switches aren't hit, it'll do 100, and that's the bottom position essentially. And my top position is 60% right down here. And the middle position, instead of being a number, notice it says slider left. Now, how did I do that? This is something that I feel that a lot of people should know, but a lot of people do not know. You see that those little hash marks over there at the beginning? There's 3 little lines. And what that signifies that if you hit and hold down the center button when you're in that mode, you can go to other options. So what that is options. So for example, right now it's slider left. If I was to hit and hold down, then I can set it to a maximum value or a minimum value or whatever. There's my minimum value of -100, or I can use a source. So the source that I chose is slider. Unfortunately, this is something that you really shouldn't do, and I'll explain why. So now I'm in my slider, and a slider has 100% in one direction, 0 for the middle, and -100 for the bottom. So unfortunately, there's my 100%, there's my 0, which is bad because now I've got no elevator. And what's even worse is if I go below that, I get minus, and I get actually reverse. So now my servo is essentially reversed. So you don't want that, of course. So to actually do this, to be usable, what you need to do is you need to set a range. And the range would be whatever you think your lowest rate that you want, and your highest, which obviously would be 100. So I would think that maybe, like, depending on the model or the plane, I would think, like 50, 40% on the low end and 100% on the high end. So we're going to go ahead and set that up and use this and make this actually usable. So right now I have slider left as my source. Now I'm going to come over here, and again, oops, let me get out of this again, because I didn't hit and hold down like I said I was gonna. If I hit and hold down, okay, and I'm gonna go back to maximum. So that way, this is the way it comes when you do it. So you go ahead and assign it to the switch. over here, and then hit and hold down. So just remember, anytime you see those three lines, which a lot of people call the hamburger symbol, that means that you have more menu options. You have more options than just whatever's there. So I'm going to go over to where that 100% is. I'm going to hit and hold down, and now I'm going to go to use a source. Now, instead of using a slider as a source, the source that I want to use is a channel. Okay, this is a programming method that Ethos does, is you can use a channel as a dummy source. So channel 64, I'm going to use. So channel 64 is something that I'm not using in the radio or in the receiver. It's not like, my receiver in this one is only like a 6-channel receiver or whatever. So channel 64, I consider to be a dummy source. And that dummy source is where I'm going to put the slider and the limits that we were talking about. So, okay, so I'm going to go ahead and choose channel 64. There it is. And I'm going to get out of it. So now this is done. Now I'm going to go over, get out of this, go back to my mix page, and add that channel 64 in this list. So you can press the plus button to add another mix, or you can hit the center button and go down here to add a mix. I'm going to do a free mix. And where do I want to put it? Add after. I'm going to add after the last position. Let's name it. So I'm going to delete out of this. And I'm going to name this one elevator rate. Now, the source that I want is the slider, or whichever source. I believe, it's going to be depending on your radio, whichever one you want. So maybe you might want to use one of these because it's, close to that, or, so you remember that that's aileron or that's elevator or whatever. For this instance, I'm going to go ahead and use this slider over here. So there's a slider left as my source. And now I go to the bottom because this is not assigned to channel 64 yet. So I'm going to assign it now to channel 64. So I just went to the output 1. The first output of this mix is what that means. And in this case, it's only one output, which is output 1. So there it is. So now I assigned it. Now channel 64 is now active. I'm controlling it by this knob, or this slider. Okay, so this now works. Unfortunately, so I go pull full up elevator, there's none, which is bad. And if I go past the middle, it's actually reversed, which I don't want. So what I need to do is limit the travel of this channel so that it's only, what did we say earlier, 40% to 100%. So the way to do that is curves. And I've said this in previous videos where I've shown specific use cases for curves. Curves are super powerful. Please learn them. Please understand how they work. So in this particular case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to limit the channel. So the travel of this channel right now is minus 100 to positive 100. I'm going to limit it to, say, 40 to 100. So the lower range will be 40 and the higher range is 100. Okay, so I'm going to go to curve. I'm going to add a curve. Okay, I'm going to name the curve. The name of the curve, I don't know, rate limit. Missed the M. There it goes. And the type of curve that I want to do is a custom curve. And this is going to be a 2-point curve. Now we're going to go into point config, and the first point is going to be that 40% that we talked about. So the start of travel will be at 40, and the end of travel will be 100. There it is. So this is that channel 64 that's not really controlling a servo, but I'm going to use that channel 64 as a source right there for my rate. So now if we take a look, that's 100%. There is, and down there is my 40%. So now probably put this somewhere in the middle, fly my plane, and say I need a little bit more rate. Bring it up. Now I got more rate. Not too much rate. Bring it down a bit. So I can sit there and adjust that all day long. If I wanted to do this for my Expo, all I got to do is do the same thing and maybe do channel 63. So I got channel 64. This is my channel 64 is my rate. And maybe over here, one of the knobs is going to be Expo. And then over here, instead of 30%, I'm going to hit and hold down there because it's got the hamburger symbol and choose use a source and then use channel 63. Do the same thing that we did before. Hopefully that makes sense. Now, here's what's kind of cool. Of course, you don't want to limit it because like you're going to bang this like the next time that you turn it on, it's going to be in a different position. So you fly your plane, you adjust it, and say that, oh, I want, say, that rate right there. That's perfect, right? There's a couple of things. Number one, grayed out, you notice it's got a number, 82%. That is what that switch position's at. But the other thing is, same thing, hit and hold down while you're at channel 64. Now, you've got an option over here that says convert to value. Hit that, made that 82%, put it there. So it's no longer part of the switch. It's no longer part of there, but that had that was mid-rate. That now has it in the mid position. So in the mid-rate position is at 82%. So the good thing is you can sit there, fly your plane, trim it, adjust, fine-tune your rate, land a plane, and then convert to a value, and now you've got your rate. So hopefully somebody finds this interesting or learn something. Like even if you're not going to use it this way, this is kind of cool if you've got a plane that you don't have a good idea of what the rates are. So you might want to program a high rate, a low rate, and then have your mid rate set so that you can tweak it and adjust it to what you need. And then you can figure out exactly what you want for your rates and your Expo or anything else that you want. So that's it, guys. Hopefully you found this useful. If you do find this useful and you like this kind of content, please like and subscribe. If you have any suggestions for anything else I can do, I do want to do like a little bit different videos than what everyone does, because there's a lot of information nowadays on Frsky radios and ethos, and there's a lot of very good content creators, and I do want to try to find stuff that's a little bit different that people could find useful. But if there is anything that you want me to try or something that you don't understand and you want a little bit more further explanation on how to set up something, please let me know in the comments, or go ahead and send me an email at all.rc.air@gmail.com. Thank you very much, guys. Have a good night.